this agenda item in regard to the draft standard for spices in the form of dried seeds. We will talk about a very important product, which is requirements for coriander. As a background, the new work proposal was in 2023, as requested by the CCSCH8, a circular letter seeking proposals for new work had been distributed to January 2023. India sent for a proposal for development of a standard for dried seeds. Then we move to the 7th session of CCSCH in 2024, and they agreed to the start of the new work and to submit the proposal to the 47th session of the Codex Alimentarius Commission for approval. Establish an EWG to develop a draft standard for dried or dehydrated coriander seeds under the group standard for dried seeds. And the EWG was chaired by India and co-chaired by Iran. The new work proposal was formally approved. In the next slide, we can see in regard to the methodology of the work process since the EWG establishment in 2024 in August, chaired by India and co-chaired by Iran, also supported by Indonesia and Mexico. We had 14 Codex members registering to the participant. For example, China, Canada, Iran, Guatemala, India, Indonesia, Japan, Morocco, Panama, and other countries, in addition to Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and USA. In regard to the next step, there was preparation for the second draft in September 2024. 10 countries provided comments raising issues such as classification, physical vs chemical, and they commented on the alignment with the ISO values to have harmony and alignment in the chemical and physical parameters, maybe more than 3 degrees. This proposal based on the standard of ISO. For the third step was the review of the draft. In January 2025, we had 3 countries sent their comments in addition to the International Association for the Space Trade, and they agreed on several matters in this review to put the standard in brackets to be adopted and approved in the CCSCH8 and to give a final decision report about the advancement and the progress achieved and also the outstanding issues. Next slide. A general overview on the comments. As stated, in general, there is a consensus to move the paper to the adoption step. We had several comments from several countries participated in order to support the proposal provided by Iran, Mexico, USA, but in Canada and the EU, there were the same comments. For cinnamon, there was no consistency among the current draft with the general template of the spices in regard to definitions. We can see that there is a slight difference in the definition. They mentioned they are seeds. I need to put them as fruits. Scientifically, it is fruit, but as usually known as the seeds of coriander. We can mention here seeds, mentioning that scientifically it is fruits. So coriander is fruit. EU mentioned that mentioning this item, there is no need for the definition for the styles. We have a group of requirements as we mentioned, and USA, there was a comment here. They need to distinguish among all of that whether a fruit or divided into 2 parts. and other forms that can be talked about, like the cracked or broken. This matter is not clear until now in the standard, and there is a need for more details. EU and Canada requested to simplify the standard more in order to clarify these forms, even in the labeling. This is as a opinion of Thailand. We have Kenya, USA, and India requested to have harmony among the degrees of classification of 2 degrees according to physical parameters of the product and the same chemicals standard. Canada proposed to have a wide description of the standard and that make inconsistency in the content. When we move to the contaminants, there was a Brazil proposal to mention of the general procedure that reduce the benzodiene alkaloids and the coriander standard. They propose to be included in the standard for the labels. The same methodology followed in all standards to mention the country of harvest and country of origin. We have a proposal for the EU to have a clarification of the type and form of the product, and also for USA, it does not support such uh, deliberations that reduce the flexibility of the labels and the trading of the product at the trade level. Talking about chemical characteristics, even Egypt supported adopting the ISO 2255 values, maximum 9% moisture, and distinguish two volatile oil groups. And even for some countries, they proposed to distinguish and differentiate from the physical characteristics according to aromatic oils. Final part. These are the most important parts. Next slide. Next slide. Talking about the recommendations. We have 4 of them. First of all, we support the advance of the draft standard for dried and dehydrated coriander seeds to the next step while resolving bracketed provisions. It is very subjective. We support to achieve align the physical classes and chemical grades to ensure consistency and avoid confusion in trade and enforcement. In order to avoid any distortion for the third item, we support the adoption of significantly justified limits for moisture and volatile oils, extraneous matters, and defects using the ISO references where applicable, while allowing flexibility to reflect the trade practices, and we believe that facilitate trade. And the fourth recommendation for us until now, this proposed draft by the EWG in the CCSCH8 is not in align with the ISO standards or national standards. So we need to ensure the standard remains consistent. Thank you very much.